The number of Republicans condemning the president's decision to pull troops out of northern Syria is growing. As of Tuesday, nearly 20 congressional Republicans have spoken out against the policy move. It's a rare moment of defiance for many GOP members who simultaneously are defending President Trump amid the Democrats' escalating impeachment inquiry. A New York Times opinion piece takes a closer look at the GOP response to the whistleblower complaint at the center of that inquiry and asks why Republicans refuse to condemn the president over his now infamous July phone call with his Ukrainian counterpart. Peter Wehner wrote that piece. He is a contributing opinion writer for the New York Times. He is also author of the book, The Death of Politics, and he joins us now via Skype from McLean, Virginia. Peter, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So one former Republican presidential aide you spoke with said, quote, until Republicans feel their existence is threatened by Trump's mendacity and corruption, most will be blind to it. But as we mentioned, well over a dozen congressional Republicans have sharply criticized the president's decision to pull troops out of northern Syria. So why criticize the president on this policy move but not others? Why is this decision different?
That's a good question. I think the answer is that the issue of Syria and Turkey and the Kurds hasn't been tribalized in our politics, that there just is not the intensity surrounding that issue as it relates to the base of the Republican Party. And so Republicans feel like they have some room to be able to criticize Trump. You know, if you talk to Republicans in the Senate and in the House, there's a tremendous amount of frustration that's built up toward the president. They just haven't been able to express it. Here they've got a chance to do it. The base isn't really energized on this issue, so they feel like they can do this, and they can actually speak their conscience because the criticisms from Republicans are authentic and genuine. When you're talking about criticizing Trump for his immoral, unethical behavior, that's just in a different category. And there it's highly tribalized, highly politicized, highly polarized, and the base will turn on anybody who challenges Trump on those grounds. We've seen it with Mark Sanford, we saw it with Jeff Flake, we saw it with Bob Corker, we're now seeing it with Mitt Romney, to some extent, Ben Sasse.
So you also say, quote, Republicans could support Mr. Trump's agenda while simultaneously condemning his corrupt behavior, yet the vast majority of them refuse to do so. You asked several former Republican officials and aides about this. How did they explain their reasoning?
Yeah, there's several reasons. Self-interest is one of them. And this really goes to what I think is the deeper pathology for the Republican Party. If, let's say, a Republican in the House or the Senate criticized Donald Trump, and the only blowback they got was from Donald Trump, I think they'd be willing to tolerate that. The trouble is that Donald Trump speaks for so many people in the base of the party. It's Trump's party through and through. He's got a complete lock on it right now. And so it's not really the criticism of Trump they fear so much. It's that Trump's criticism will essentially be a signal to the core supporters of the Republican Party to go after that individual. And there you're talking about the conservative media complex, but mostly you're talking about voters in the districts or the states of these Republicans. I was told by one influential figure in the Republican Party that Trump is just a lot more popular among Republicans in these districts than these individual Congress men and women are. And so they feel like they're on thin ice. They don't want to complicate their life. They don't want to be the object of the criticisms. So they've gone sotto voce. They've gone silent. Now, I think there's been a huge cost to that. I think it's a cost to their integrity. And I also think there's a cost to the party in the long term. But they're making short-term calculations. They don't want to be challenged in a primary. They don't want to be beaten in a general election. So they're in lockstep with Trump, despite his extraordinary transgressions.
Peter, you served in the last 3 Republican administrations. You also advised Mitt Romney during his 2012 presidential campaign. What is the place now within the GOP for Republicans such as yourself and Senator Romney?
Well, for a person like myself, it's a pretty small island, frankly, right now. I will tell you, what's interesting is that I have heard from Republicans some significant people in significant positions who actually not only aren't bothered by my criticisms of of Trump, but are actually glad that I'm doing it. And the explanation I've been told is that somebody has to be out there to keep this from being normalized, to say, look, this is not appropriate, and it shouldn't go on. But a lot of these people, certainly elected officials, feel like they're not in a position to do it. Mitt Romney's in a different situation than I am. He represents Utah, and I think he's doing a pretty good job representing the attitudes of his constituents, including Republicans in Utah. Mormons are in a different category than a lot of other Republicans, even white evangelicals, Christians in the Republican Party. I would say that Mormons, to their credit, take the issue of personal integrity and morality in political leaders seriously, like white evangelicals used to. But what happened among a lot of white evangelicals, not all of them, but many of them, is that once Trump became president, a lot of the views that they once espoused, including during the Clinton impeachment and the controversy and scandal with Monica Lewinsky, they jettisoned. But look, right now, if you're a critic of Donald Trump and you're a conservative,